I hope to infect you all with my enthusiasm for skyscrapers today. So skyscrapers are an American original, and they've always encouraged us to dream big, like this look into the future from 1908. Well, I mean, nowadays we understand that New York really was modeled after the planet Coruscant in the Star Wars movie. But back then, those people were dealing with a lot of important changes. And not just in New York, but here in Pittsburgh. That's the view from Mount Washington in the year 1900, where you can see our two skyscrapers. That's the Park Building and the Carnegie Building. Neither of them are as tall as the belfry of the new courthouse. Fast forward 10 years. I have to highlight them for you to see them. Wow. Look at that. In 10 years, Pittsburgh was overwhelmed with skyscrapers popping up like dandelions and overshadowing everything that had come before. And now the courthouse is clearly obscured, and so is the Carnegie Building by Frick's building. That's us on one of those first skyscrapers, me and some friends, on top of the Benedum Trees building. And that's on 4th Avenue, and it's named after Mike Benedum and Joe Trees, two oil men who bought the building from Caroline McChesney, also pictured there, the first woman to build a skyscraper in Pittsburgh. I love going on top of skyscrapers. This weekend I led tours on skyscraper rooftops, and that's us on the Coppers building. And in addition to the vertigo and the views, I love to share the stories of the people who were involved with these skyscrapers, like Heinrich Coppers and Andrew Mellon. I'm kind of obsessive. I even have an antique skyscraper vintage postcard collection, like this one of the U.S. Steel building. And in 1970, when I was a little tyke, it was the 8th tallest building in the whole world. Wow. Today, not even in the top 500. Wow. Things change quickly. Well, let's take a look at some more skyscrapers. These three here each had to have the title of tallest skyscraper in the world. For a moment, anyway. The Empire State held it for longer, but all three of these were the tallest skyscraper. These images, by the way, are by my partner in crime in this new book, Chris Haitha, an artist from Philadelphia who uses drones to take photographs and make artistic compositions of buildings. That's Chris with me in the front seat of my car in Birmingham, Alabama earlier this year when we were taking drone photographs of a cool skyscraper there. You can even see the drone up in the corner of the image. You look real close there on the top. Well, so Chris and I are both huge skyscraper fans, but he's not the first artist to be inspired by skyscrapers. This one by the architect Raymond Hood in the 1920s, the American Radiator Building, actually inspired this artist Georgia O'Keeffe to take a break from flower paintings to paint that skyscraper. And who was Raymond Hood inspired by for that building? Well, by that drawing on the right. That was an entry into the contest by the Chicago Tribune to design the world's most beautiful skyscraper. And Ray Hood won the contest with his drawing on the left, or on the right. But the drawing on the left inspired him to come up with that American radiator design and led the way to Art Deco. Art Deco swept through America. This is an Art Deco gem in Los Angeles, and it was built for a Jewish immigrant watchmaker, Adolf Serrano, who turned his little shop into a whole chain of housewares and department stores in that skyscraper in Los Angeles. And I love these personal stories. I find they're as inspiring and interesting as the buildings themselves. I mean, that's the a monument to Spearmint, the Chicago Wrigley building. And there's another great story. William Wrigley started out selling soap flakes and baking soda until he realized he could make more money selling the stuff he was giving away as a sales promotion, chewing gum. There's a love story here. This is Houston, Mellie Esperson, an oil baroness. And the love story is she and her husband wanted to build a skyscraper, but then he died. So she, on her own, built the tallest skyscraper in all of Texas. And it's a great place to stand now and look at the new skyscrapers in Houston. The shiny ones there. This one here in San Francisco was the tallest skyscraper on the entire West Coast. And it even had a lovely restaurant where you could check out the views. And it survived the 1906 earthquake. But you wouldn't recognize it now because it really didn't survive its extreme makeover in the 1930s. That's it there now with no dome anymore. Every city has a beautiful skyscraper. This is in Detroit. It's one of the very best Art Deco skyscrapers around. The architect used every crayon in his box to design it. And he said he was inspired by a visit to Barcelona, where he saw architecture like this by Antoni Gaudi. Even tastefully questionable skyscrapers like this one in Minneapolis have their appeal. This is Wilbur Fauché shining his name over the city of Minneapolis, despite the fact that he swindled all his investors, and that's a picture of him with his vice president sharing a cell at Leavenworth. Our government is responsible for cool skyscrapers too, like, well, we know about Philadelphia City Hall, but how about the Nebraska State Capitol? That work, the artistic work there, both of the sculptor and the muralist got work for their next job at Radio City Music Hall because of this building in Nebraska. And I love the rumors and stories around skyscrapers. This one in Birmingham has a golden statue of Electra, who supposedly is having an affair with the iron statue of Vulcan up on the mountain nearby. All I know is both of them are okay with being naked in public. And just be proud is my final takeaway. Be proud of your city's skyscrapers. Take your friends from out of town there. This is me taking some out-of-town visitors to the Cathedral of Learning. The guy in the blue scarf you might recognize, that's Emmanuel Macron before he became the president of France. He loved it there. And I just want to say finally that classic skyscrapers appeal to all audiences, young and old. That's me and Chris in the Williamsburg Savings Bank. And I've seen Chris's art on Instagram get 250,000 likes. And also, in case you watched Across the Spider-Verse this year, you'll know it's Spider-Man's favorite antique skyscraper too.
Nice.